got some shit on my mind. Hold on a second. I better put this on Do Not Disturb, because of course I'm getting signs of disturbance. Mode. Do Not Disturb. Thank you. Alright, so I've given a title that'll no doubt get me in trouble, but then again, somehow I won't get in trouble. I don't know. I don't know when titles like this get people in trouble. I seem to rarely get in that sort of trouble. But anyway, you grow up and you become interested in figuring out how the world works. You listen to different people's ideas. You listen to people who talk about following the money. You listen to all sorts of stuff that's out there in the atmosphere. And you dismiss certain things, you accept certain things, so on and so forth. You ask yourself, what kind of person are you? What do you think you see? What do you think other people see? And we're now living in an interesting time where we're watching effectively a cover run, right? Because things have been convoluted in the discussion of these conspiracies about the global narrative, the money system, where the money system relates to the global narrative. We're dealing with tremendous problems on a humanity level. We've really hurt ourselves in these discussive contexts about the globalist agenda, the ideas of the Illuminati agenda, the ideologies of Zionism with its history and its moneyed interests, its ideologies, the people of certain bloodlines that are within a race, within a tribe. And you end up typically in an incredibly uncomfortable scenario. And so now that we've been living with this issue of two kinds of people in the world, people that are culturally agreeable and people that are culturally inagreeable. And there's far more cultural agreeability to the manner in which the Jewish population that we know, whether we want to argue the semantics of what a Semite is or not, are personably typically not people that are of trouble for your society. But then you've got whom has been selected to be brought in from the poor and victimized parts of the world of the Muslim Middle Eastern, right? And I'm saying Muslim Middle Eastern because one of the things about Islam is that Islam is one thing in the Middle East and it's another thing in other parts of the world. Because a Muslim that is culturally Middle Eastern, Arabic, Iranian, whatever, North African. They're look at them. They're just doing what they did before they were Muslim countries and then repackaged as Muslim. This is South America. They're doing what they did when they were fucking pagan and applying it to fucking Catholicism. Right? And that's because of religion. And of course, now Judaism is that mixed bag of religion and race, as well as terminology for people of a nation, right? AKA the Jewish state, Israel. And the only place in the world that is a nation identified as such. You know, I mean, like you go to Europe, there's many different nations of Germanic people. There's many different nations of Norse people, and they're distinctly different, so on and so forth. And so we're looking at these parts of the world that have produced low educational, living in poverty kind of persons. We bring them over here, and we bring them over here in these huge numbers where we cannot enforce some basic principles like obey our laws, respect our culture and customs. And it has pushed us out in these places to the point where they've become a cultural influence on our own, whether it be an influence of tolerance or an influence of assimilation, you know, such as a white person becoming a Muslim or something, right? And so, even though the facts of the discussion about this whole thing with Israel and Zion and the known agenda for a greater Israel, right? The greater Israel movement. These times have made it favorable now for this strength of Israel to be there in this manner, because of the kinds of problems being produced out of the culture in the Middle East that is coming into other parts of the world incompatibly. And I don't know who's the one to fault in that world for causing those conditions. And we spent too long of a time destroying their world ourselves. And this is our shit manner of compensating for the destruction that we caused. And now we're trying to handle the destruction that they are causing in retribution for the destruction that we caused them through the Middle Eastern war problems. And it makes it impossible to defend the enemies of Israel because they're just bad people, right? Like, Jewish people are typically decent folk, right? It's just like what we culturally like do, you know, as far as like a kind of a general status quo of, you know, everybody being cool with each other and things like that. You get that out of Jewish culture, right? You don't have a problem being around Jewish people, right? Where with Muslim people, they get into their deeper fundamentalist sensibilities the way Christians have their fundamentalists, right? Because, you know, the Muslims and the Christians are are these not for Jewish Reformation movements, effectively. Right? But you go to and you check out Islam in Asia. Islam in like Indonesia is one of the biggest examples of a Muslim country. You don't hear about that. You don't, when you see the Islam problem outside of Muslim countries, it's not coming from anywhere other than Middle Eastern Muslims. Other Muslims are not like this. It's a combination of their religion and their local, like, a world that created them, right? The environment that they grew up in and what was available for their personal choices and everything else. The problems of education and all this stuff. So it's why for a long time now I kind of gave up talking about Zionist conspiracy theories and things like that, because it's too hostile. There's no way of doing it without it eventually running into anti-Semitic consequences. And I'm not really anti certain things, right? It's just like, I have a problem with an ideology. I don't have a problem with people of that ideology, except when it comes to when they fucking act on it, right? When they act on extreme ideals that are ignored, when somebody talks about principles in the Quran that they will act upon for infidels and shit like that, right? These are, hey, what's up, Zephyr, and hi, Adam. These are real fucking problems, right? And so I can't give energy right now to being like anti quote Zionist, right? Like, I don't even know exactly how things are in the Middle East. I don't understand what happened after the fall of the Ottoman Empire to Palestine, right? I have a sense of it from various films and things I've read about the region, and all of that in an objective lens seems like it was awful, and that the West was in the wrong, and that and that the pro-Israel, pro-Zion people are in the wrong, right? As far as just, people amongst the profane, right? I'm not talking about the occultists and the conspiracy theorists and everybody involved in the deeper agenda of facts that I am not dismissing by saying these terms either. But at the same time, I think it has to be, I'd rather just let it be, but I can't. But at the same time, it can't just be let be. The fact is that it's there's many places of influence and leverage that are favorable and giving strength and power to Israel, right? And it does seem that when we're talking about that game, that there is no impetus for what's left of Palestine to actually exist, because it seems like it's just nothing but this anarchist territory at this point that has no fucking basis in anything. And I don't know if it was a good place once long ago, right? You're trying to look at things through simple sense of humanity, right? And it became more and more apparent to me as the left as liberalism was catching on to the issue, but they ran with it the wrong way. And because the culture in hard leftism is anti-morality at this point, the need to promote reprehensible behavior where you are destroying other people and you're destroying yourself, all for pleasures that you want to be as freedoms and indulgences that you wish to be rights. And the issue of the scapegoating of the Carpathian men of the North, the European man, the Eurasian men, such as the Slavs. It's hard to reconcile these two things because I don't like living a lie, and it's two different issues that end up creating too much conflict because they're two different issues about the same broader topic of these groups of people and what they want, right? And so now we don't even care about this nefarity. I mean, people don't even, like the people that are anti-Israel, they don't even know the fucking facts about the Zionism situation. They don't truly understand what this agenda is. They just think that it's Israel as is plus wanting to take Palestine, but it's not just that. It's an encroachment. I forget if it encroaches on Egypt, but it wants to encroach on Syria and Jordan. That this was we were talking about this in this country on the internet for a long time with ISIS, where the Islamic Caliphate was this false uprising designed to be destroyed, to ruin a country and to force Israel to take that land for stability in the Middle East as part of an answer, right? Because it would have been the uncontrollable issue for Jordan and Syria. Now, things didn't work out that way. Funny enough, they didn't work out that way for the same man who is saving Israel, right? Because Donald Trump came in. Things were psychically moving in 2016 that were preparing to end these agendas. And then we flipped the script and we started we started fighting ISIS for real instead of throwing our men to lose fighting ISIS, to give ISIS the time it needed to conquer places, to give Israel an excuse to conquer those places, to win the war for peace, to expand their borders for the greater Israel project, which is that next step for Zionism. Now, it seems like we're not going to have to deal with a greater Israel project, I guess, but we may be seeing the end of Palestine, and maybe unfortunately it's really the best move for a future timeline. I don't know. There may be another level of occult and esoteric history that I don't know. What I do know is that you're wrong if you are against humanity. And I have seen the trouble of who is bad for humanity in a for real way, right? And it's just like there's no cohesive leadership. There's no one that can speak on behalf of Palestinians, that can come up as civil men and speak at global meetings and regional meetings and and or reaching out, like, like what happened to the fucking 90s where it was like, Arafat and all that, like all these different fucking Jewish leader, Palestinian leaders, and like, like I never fucking fully understood it. I mean, like, it made you think that Palestine was some sort of unacknowledged state because they had a leadership. There were serious talks. Oh, there's President Clinton with the president of Israel and this guy from Palestine that everybody says is the guy, right? And all of that like went away. There's no one like that anymore. There's been a massive decline. And I don't know what to tell you, right? Because certainly, conspiracy or not, if a certain people can't, despite in the face of things, find the ability to be a man of your own voice, to be able to put that voice out, I mean, a lot of people were ignorant. You can be as ignorant as you fucking want. There's basic common sense that, even an ignorant person knows a thing or two about, like, don't throw the punch first. That puts you in the wrong. Things like that. Who the fuck is right? I don't know who the fuck is right when it comes to this present surface moment on the first veil of illusions here. How does the suffering come to an end so people can start the fucking process? It's just a vicious cycle, the Ouroboros. It's just like, I'm irritated by the rhetoric of the emergence of the destruction of the old world and coming of the new world. It's like, I'm not that fucking excited for this post-COVID world anyway, which just seems like a depressing version of the pre-COVID world. I don't know what to tell you. People are far too, are far too politically narcissistic, right? It's political narcissism, right? I mean, it seems like the right is being far less narcissistic, but perhaps it's just hidden better in high vocabulary rhetoric or something, and a better sense of civics and a republic, but yet still like some ignorant narcissism. And there's no reason why concepts like a state of Israel, a place for people that are at the end of the day going to be seen as Jews who belong there in some capacity, that it can't come to something copacetic. I mean, I can't believe how long we drag out. We're so sick of the religious war, and yet we're so interested in perpetuating what we're sick of. Perpetuating what we are sick of, just like the fucking pandemic. Let's perpetuate the things that make us sick and act like we need to force a change in the way of life, especially against those who aren't playing along with our perpetuation of sickness that we are sick of. And so I don't blame people that would otherwise understand a thing or two about what we're saying when we're following the money and we're acknowledging the the dark, nefarious, like underhanded manner and gaslighting of things. But I just can't fucking blame them for ignoring that in the face of what is here that's been going on now for quite a few years. You can't just let it go on for quite a few years. You have to eventually address what refuses to fucking go away. Right? Because people that are choosing to live in the manner which they do as Jews is much better for life as a Westerner to exist than what we are seeing out of this corner of fucking Islam that is here now, whether for the Middle East or for the West. Right? Because, you know, I just like, I don't understand liberals. It's like, okay, Ellen DeGeneres just moved to the UK. The UK might be fucking, you know, a Muslim country at this point. You're a lesbian in a Muslim country. And a Muslim country with a bunch of anti fucking, you know, LGBTQ Muslims. Like I've heard allegedly that liberal Muslims exist, that gay Muslims exist, just like there are gay Christians, I suppose, and anything else. But you can't sit there and say that because these exceptions to the rule exists, it means it's okay. Because look, see, it's not an absolute, therefore it's okay because people are people. No, people aren't just people. We don't understand that because we are so used to being on top of the world and other people not having the confidence to be themselves, even if themselves is going to do horrible things and themselves is incompatible with our way of life. And people are complaining about a way of life going away. And I'm just like, you're surprised? You keep supporting people that are against your way of life. You know? If you bring in if you're a metalhead, you bring in a bunch of Muslims that think metalhead is the devil's music into your fucking community. Guess what? Your metal club is going to close. Your bars are going to close because there's alcohol for you. Al Ghul, the sin of Al Ghul. Now you can't enjoy a fucking drink in any capacity. Or your one night of responsible drunkenness. Right? Because you're now cultivating a Sharia law environment. So these are all fucking problems. And when I say, you know, and that makes it more complicated anyway, because what is fucking Sharia law? Sharia law is like anti-usury too. Oh, look at that. There's the plus side in there, right? But what's the cost of anti-usury? The sacrifice of your fucking culture. Perhaps is the sacrifice of your personal identity, because it's all wrapped up into many things instead of having your own thing that happens to have a similar line item as another set of laws designed for a whole other fucking world. I think we need to be much wiser on all sides. And we have to keep talking about various different levels of reality. And if we can acknowledge we're a different side of the issue, like the money issue, the nation issue, the race issue, the culture, like if you can break apart all certain things, like you have to find the uncertainty, right? You have to realize where you need to have an uncertainty in the way you may have been thinking things go for a long time, right? Because, you know, there are certain conspiracies that are being damaged greatly because of the narrative gets hijacked, and too many people are now proponents of a false version of a true narrative. You know, so Zionism now looks good because the people that were telling you the truth about it bought several lies, and they paltered and gaslit themselves out of legitimacy. And this is why we're now here, because it's now too late to hold the same argument for the issue, because now we're dealing with another layer of bullshit. So let me check and then I'm gonna get going. I don't know what time it is. What time is it? Alright. Ooh, got quite a few things. Right? Don't be anti-symmetric. Ha! Alright, oh yeah, I just got yelled at for saying I don't think Trump was that great of a businessman. Right. So I can relate somewhat. Oh, Slick's here. What's up, Slick? Wait, is Slick here? Where's Slick? Oh, there he is. Yes. Yemen. Right, Yemen. Well, the Yemen issue is for Saudi Arabia, but we can talk about the Zionist connection to the House of Saud, because you'll notice that nobody in the Jewish world is worried about the Saudi Arabian world either. Saudis are a different system, a different kind of thing altogether that we don't really talk about. It always seems like Saudi Arabia is a pretty stable fucking place. I suppose it is. The line, silly Caucasian girl who likes to play with samurai swords. Yada, yada, yada. Yeah, and that's the thing, is that, we're not Caucasians. We're in the Ukraine, funny enough, who are a Turkic people. And this gets us into where Nosferatu, where Count Orlok is coming from in reality. Let's see. Good call. International checks and balances, ledger, dwindled. Right, yeah, exactly. People need to be as prepared as possible to save themselves, because these leaders are not going to save us. Yeah, obviously. Vigilantism age is here already, just as the masses dissociate from the comics and fantasy and program them with the game plan and the play. Right. Hi, Lauren. How are you? Like every sci-fi movie ever became reality in... no, it became reality in 2020, Slick. That's when it really played out. Zombie apocalypses, dystopian futures, fucking, all manner, like every fucking movie. Every fucking movie became reality then. The Purge. Let's see. I think it's all messed up, but people don't want to accept that, right? It's say worse than movies when they have a Twilight Zone. Yeah, right? People, they are potpourri. Ugh, right? Taking dry baths. AI. I've been considering that thought lately. Walls, anagram, Sharia. Yeah, right. I think I heard you talk about that once. Orlok, right? Andrew Tate. You guys got to listen to my thing with that. Or it was the other thing that we did with... it was either with the Nosferatu thing, or it was when we came on expecting Robert Phoenix, and then Robert Phoenix came in late. Exactly, it's all these things. So anyway, thanks, guys. I got just a couple minutes left on my lunch break, and I'll be back to work soon. So I'll catch you later, and I'll try and let you know if my channel got in trouble. And a like on any side. Bye.